So your passion for possibility opened the door to self-discovery at Oakland University. You learn and grow in the epicenter of Greater Metro Detroit. Find out more at oakland.edu/future students. And speaking of students, we're all students of Professor Dave Dulio, the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University in Rochester, a distinguished professor in the political science department. And I wonder if just maybe Disney Plus somehow attacked Twitter yesterday and caused all the glitches in Governor Ron DeSantis' announcement with Twitter. That's the way he decided to do it. He didn't come down an escalator or walk out onto a stage. He decided to do a virtual announcement. And in, speech giving, Professor Dulio, and even media sometimes are dangerous to work with technology and work with kids, right? And animals too, for that matter. And the governor found that out yesterday because the takeaway from his announcement is not one of his messages or any of his, I don't want to call it soaring rhetoric because I'm not sure it went that far, but it's the glitches. What happened?
Well, good morning, Michael Patrick. Thanks for having me. And yes, that is definitely the only thing people are talking about today. And that is exactly the opposite of what Governor DeSantis was looking for. And I think that this is a lesson for all of us in terms of politics, a reminder maybe that control for candidates is a good thing, right? Candidates are always looking to control the message and control the optics, control the situation. And the governor's team didn't do that. They lost control by handing it over to Twitter, right? It was out of their control, and it went sideways on them, and I think they're gonna pay a short-term price for this.
When the thing finally did connect, and as I understand, they started out with about 700,000 people logged in to listen, and half of them went away when the glitches started, and there was a delay in getting it started in the first place. Was there anything that stuck?
Besides the glitches, it sure doesn't seem like it. I think that he's tried to save it by going on Fox News and conveying his message that way about issues that are at the top of his list, but that's just getting lost in the shuffle. And the governor's team, they make a fair point, right? That the interest level was incredibly high, and I think that's worth noting. That maybe it was the sheer volume of people that were tuning in is what caused the problems. But again, that just gets lost in the shuffle.
Over at the White House, they've been laughing about it, too. In fact, they put out a video that says our link works in the campaign for Biden. But the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, yesterday got defensive again, snapping at a question that a reporter asked about the president's travel. Here's what it sounded like.
Great. So on the debt ceiling, you used words like catastrophic and devastating today. But the president, again, is going to Camp David this weekend and then going to Delaware. If the situation is so dire, then why is the president?
Well, I already answered that question. So you have another one? I literally just answered that question.
He came back from Japan.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
Any other question?
No, that's it.
Okay, great. So keep going. Go ahead, sir.
When's the last time that...
Yeah. What do you make of that?
I think that this is a foreshadowing of the 24 Biden campaign, where there are going to be some questions asked about the president's public schedule, and as you'll remember from 2020, in the height of COVID, right? That campaign was largely, the critics say from the basement, right, at the Biden house, but that kind of approach isn't going to cut it this time. I think that there are going to be demands from more of the press for the president to be out front and center. And I think that that'll be an interesting juxtaposition between DeSantis, certainly Trump, and the other Republicans that are vying for the nomination.
Check my memory, if you would, Professor Dave Dulio from Oakland University. Is Karine Jean-Pierre from the pulpit there in the media room more partisan than past spokespersons for the president? Because she doesn't speak for the campaign, she speaks for the president. But she talks an awful lot about Republicans this and blaming them for that. Or has it always been that way?
I think that there's always an element to that, right? I mean, we can't forget that the White House at one end of Pennsylvania Avenue has an adversarial relationship sometimes with the Congress at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, and they spar and they go back and forth, and it becomes difficult for the press secretary as we approach and then get into the throes of a campaign to walk that fine line between the official White House position and the campaign position.
Here's a piece of gossip for you. There is some talk that if Dianne Feinstein, at 89 years old, decides to leave the Senate, that I guess the governor would get to appoint the person to fill out the term. It could be Oprah Winfrey that Governor Newsom appoints.
Well, that would be a splash in Washington, wouldn't it? That would be something. I think Governor Newsom, should that opportunity come forward, would have all sorts of people interested from California, and maybe the Hollywood set would put out a number of possible candidates for the governor to pick from.
Interestingly, the candidates for president right now on the Democrat side, Joe Biden, Marianne Williamson, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. If you look at the Republicans, you got Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's been on the program with us, Asa Hutchinson, Larry Elder, Tim Scott, Ron DeSantis. Which one of those groups looks more diverse than the other?
No doubt the Republican primary field does. I do think that that's a little bit of a difficult comparison, given that Joe Biden is the incumbent, and the other candidates in the field they're not serious challenges to the president at this point. And I think that we saw an incredibly broad field of Democrats in 2020 competing for that nomination, and if Biden wasn't in the picture, I think that any number of those folks would be back in the ring.
Just quickly, with 20 seconds, Dave Giulio, is Ron DeSantis going backwards?
Maybe he took a step backwards last night, but this DeSantis campaign so far has been incredibly disciplined, and I don't think they're going to let this deter them or knock them off track for too long.
Thank you for the learning you gave us today and the teaching that you do in Rochester, Michigan at Oakland University. It's Michael Patrick Shields. He's Dave Giulio, as we leave out the boring parts where politics is our family business.